in a different location. I'm on my deck. It's sunny. I hope everyone is starting to enjoy the weather. But I won't lie to you. It's actually freezing cold right now. It's 9 a.m. in Bellevue, Washington, barely 60 degrees. And so it's nice outside, but I'm freezing. So, but that's okay. With me, I have Gani Zahid, who's been with us for quite a while now. Gani, it's a pleasure to see you again. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Huda. Hi, everyone.
Gani is an instructor with us, but also a career coach. So chances are you're either going to be taught by him, or maybe you'll have him as your coach once you graduate. And today, something also brand new is we are also streaming on LinkedIn for the very first time. So we are going to be streaming this open house on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn simultaneously, which is pretty exciting. All right, so we're going to spend a full hour together, and the way it works typically is we're going to talk about Nucamp for the first 30 minutes. Gani and I will tell you everything we think you're wondering about Nucamp. We'll try to address most of the questions that are out there. And then for the last 30 minutes, we're going to answer your questions. It's going to be an open Q&A. And so we have your chat here. I'm seeing the chat from all three platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And so ask your questions there. And Gani and I, again, in 30 minutes from now, approximately, Gani and I will answer them. So that's it. All right, let's get going. Oh, it's a bit warmer now, so good for me. Okay, so what is Nucamp? Well, it's a very special coding bootcamp in the industry that's really focuses on a social mission first, and you can see that pretty easily on our website and especially our tuition. We are the most affordable tuition for coding bootcamp that is out there, and we're also available in way more cities. And that was the point. For too long, anyone who wanted to learn to code had to be very close to a big city if in order to not to commute or have to move, And so we are right now in 180 cities across the US. In those cities, we bring together students and instructors. Of course, with COVID, we are online in those cities, but we're looking forward to going back to online to in person. And then you may have seen that, but we've also been very recently the #1 rated coding bootcamp in the United States. If you check out Course Report and Career Karma, we are right behind Le Wagon, who's only international but not US in Course Report. But overall, I will say the feedback from our students is just tremendous, and we're very proud and pleased with that. So if you're on this open house, this live stream, it's probably because you're researching coding bootcamp and you're trying to figure out which one is for you. And typically, you're going to find two types of coding bootcamps out there. The very first one is going to be the online bootcamps. The edX, Coursera, Udacity, Udemy. These are really awesome in many ways because they're going to allow you to start your learning journey at pretty much zero cost or very cheap. Like you can buy a $10 course on Udemy and have access to 200 hours of great content. It's very flexible. I mean, you can do that from anywhere. And it's, as I said, a very, very good and important way to get started. Now, there's one challenge, though, is that only 3% of anyone trying to go the self-taught route this way is actually accomplishing anything. And that's something that I keep hearing, that we keep hearing over and over again. It's great to get started. You suddenly, after a few months, have a collection of $10 courses, and you may have gone through 15%, 20% of those, but you're nowhere near your goal of becoming a web developer after 6 months because you lack the structure, you lack the support, you don't really know what you're supposed to learn at what point. And so when you're in that space, in that zone, typically you're going to look for an alternative, and typically you're going to look for what I will call traditional bootcamps. And traditional bootcamps are very much schools with a campus, instructors, you're going to be there full time. Great And a great advantage to that approach is it's very immersive. You're going to be there, morning to late at night sometimes. It's going to be intense. You're going to learn with others. But as anything, it comes with a trade-off. And that trade-off is, well, you have to have a school, a coding bootcamp where you live. And that's not a given. You're going to have to also, in order to really benefit from that immersive experience, you're going to want to be full-time. And being full-time means, well, if you have a job, you're going to have to quit that job. And that's a big decision to make. And then you're going to have to find the money to pay for that immersive experience. And so oftentimes it's $10,000, $15,000, $30,000. And again, you really have to wonder, okay, is that going to be worth it? Is that going to really help me achieve my goal? Now, I will say traditional boot camps really are interesting if they are in person. If you are supposed to be full-time but on your own online, I would say everything I just described and the benefit of the immersiveness is kind of gone. Might as well go online, I will say, almost. But still, there's a ton of things to be said about providing you with a structure, providing you with an instructor to support you, putting you really with other students so that you can collaboratively learn, do peer programming, work on the projects together. And so that's very, very valuable. Now, either option has trade-offs, pro and cons. And what Nucamp is about is really bringing the best of both worlds into one unique formula. And that's Nucamp. That's a hybrid format, meaning it's not full-time, it's part-time, but it has a very strong structure. It has a support of a dedicated instructor. You are placed in a classroom of maximum 12 students. It is very close to where you live, no matter where you live in the US. And then, in terms of price point, it's not $10 like Udemy will be, but it's still super affordable. It's less than $2,000 for a 22 weeks experience. And so that's very much what we're about. We're about bringing you the flexibility and affordability of online and the support, the immersion that you will find in traditional bootcamps, but not the price point. All right. A little bit of history. We were founded in 2017 in the state of Washington. We've helped almost 10,000 unique students since we were created, and it's counting, obviously. We launched more than 2,000 boot camps. We have more than 300 instructors, Gani included, working with us in the industry. And every Saturday, and you'll hear about that Saturday workshop experience from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Every Saturday, we run 100 of those workshops across the US. And as I said, all of that with a great level of satisfaction from our students, 4.78, and more than 1,000 reviews at this time on Course Report. We just launched a new bootcamp, the Backend with Python bootcamp. Now, the start date for that one in a private group, meaning kind of a beta or test group, is August. The real start will be then September. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'm going to cover it on the next slide. But for this call, for this live meeting, live stream, we really want to talk about the first 3 boot camps that we've had ever since we started Nucamp: the web development fundamentals, the front-end web and mobile development, and the full stack web and mobile development. So that's what we'll spend most of this live stream talking about. Of course, if you have questions on the back end with Python, we'll be happy to answer them as well. All right, so let me still talk a little bit about this new bootcamp because we're excited about it. It's a brand new bootcamp that's beginner friendly, you should know. So you could actually register straight to the backend with Python bootcamp when it's available in September. And we're going to touch on the fundamentals of programming with Python, data structures and algorithms. We're going to cover, hey, Lucy, you can still listen to what we have to say, Lucy. And Lucy is just saying, dang, I was just here for the backend one. We're still going to talk about it, and you can still register for it either in August or September. But we're going to cover SQL with Python, Postgres in particular. So everything about relational databases, data modeling, and things like that. And then we're going to talk about, once you have all that, how do you actually implement this in the cloud? And here we're doing something that I don't believe is done anywhere else in the industry. We're going to really touch on the three main clouds that exist today in the industry. It's Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services or AWS, and then Google Cloud with Firebase and the main also Google Cloud services. So as I said, you can actually register now for August or September. It's a little bit more out there. Yeah, and a lot of people were here for Python. All right. For all our bootcamps, we offer access to what we call the Fair Student Agreement. And what that means is you have what we call the best deal. So if you have the ability to pay over a period of time about $350 a month, that's going to give you the best bang for your buck because there's no interest. It's just an ease of payment so that you don't have to pay everything in full at first. We allow you to just split the payments with no additional interest whatsoever. Now, if you find that difficult to really spend that type of money on a monthly basis, you can actually apply for a student loan, a very traditional student loan with our partner Climb. And that's going to give you access to, if you look at the most flexible plan, you're going to be able to pay just $12 for about 6 months until you have to repay. And then you don't have to repay, you have to repay in 12 or 18 month period of time, which is going to bring down, again, the cost monthly to something more manageable than $350. So no matter the bootcamp that you register to, you're always going to experience the same curriculum and the same format. So first, I mentioned that before, but you're going to be in a classroom with 12 students maximum. That's a great number of students to really tie bond with, partner with when you're working on your project, learn from, etc. And then you're going to have a dedicated instructor every week throughout your experience. From Sunday to Friday, you're going to learn at your pace, at your own pace. We're not going to schedule time during that period because we know if you're busy, if you're working, you may actually be in a position of having to miss a scheduled call, and we don't really want that. So you're going to go through a very rigorous curriculum. We're going to tell you what you're supposed to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday as well. But you're going to do that on your own with the support of your instructor, your classroom, and the Slack community. And then on Saturday, it's a very special moment. The Saturday workshop is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the time zone that you registered to. And that's where you're spending more time with your instructor to really recap what you've learned and then applying those new skills to a kind of a challenge workshop, a project if you want. And this is really the session where everything comes together. So you really want to make sure to attend that. When we were in person, that was also the time that was spent in person. It's not anymore. We're still online. We're looking into bringing some of that back in person, but we're not quite there yet. And then it's rinse and repeat, as we say. Every Saturday, we open a new week, and it's the same approach. So Nucamp will not be what it is without an amazing community of instructors. And what makes those instructors special is they are actually doing that as a side gig, including Gani, as a side gig on top of their existing occupation. They are doing it because they're passionate about helping others. They're passionate about helping people in their community. And very often when we read the student reviews, we see actually students mentioning Gani was fantastic, or Amy was great, or Dustin was phenomenal. So it's something that very resonates with our students. Most of our instructors, I would say 98%, are actually professionals in the field. Only 2% are previous coding bootcamp graduates. So we're really reducing the amount of instructors and minimizing the amount of instructors that are not professionals in the field. And they're going to come with their own background. It's a very diverse background. Some are going to be working in Fortune 500 companies. Some will be in startups. Some will be working for the government. But you're going to have access to all that diverse expertise and experience of what it means to be a developer in the industry. And with that, Gani, I'll leave it to you. And I'll get back with during the Q&A, or maybe actually earlier when we do the projects.
Yep.
Take it away.
Thank you. So just to give a little background, about myself, been developing for about 11 years or so. I roughly started teaching around third or fourth year of my full-time job, and I've been teaching since. So Nucamp, I've been teaching with Nucamp for almost a year and a half now. Actually, almost 2 years. It will be 2 years in December.
Oh wow! I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So it's been it hasn't been this long with obviously with Nucamp, but I feel like we've been part of this for a long time, and that's one of the drivers for especially for instructors, right? So let's talk about becoming a web developer. What does that mean? When you're trying to become a developer, you have multiple options available to you. JavaScript is one of the programming languages, and with JavaScript, it has been one of the big driving force, kind of very popular, and for about 5 years or so. Things about, I want to say roughly about 7 years now, that has been really popular. And then React was one of the biggest driver for JavaScript, obviously created by Facebook. I think you all kind of know that already. So roughly average salary for a web developer or junior web developer, because as you graduate from your boot camp with Nucamp, you are going to be considered a junior web developer. With a junior web developer, you get an option to be someone's, someone can actually teach you. So there could be a senior developer that's teaching you and showing you how to do things better, or perhaps where to find an answer for something that you're going to work on. So roughly about $70,000. I do want to say that, depending on what you were doing in the past, you could actually end up making more, because, let's say if you were working in cybersecurity. I know some of my students now and previously have worked in cybersecurity, and they are switching over to becoming a web developer, or they want to know what's going on under the hood. In that case, you're going to have all that knowledge regardless, even though, let's say, you were just maybe like doing some sort of policy writing or whatever, but still you have that knowledge, so they end up actually giving you more money. So you can definitely top the $70,000, for that particular person. But if someone, let's say, who was a waiter and wants to come into web development, you'll be surprised. You can actually also end up making more money, because you do have that ability and knowledge of working as a restaurant, and someone who's working on a restaurant website could actually, pay you more money. So you still have that ability as well. We do have an article on that, so check out Nucamp's blog article to learn more about it. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So a full curriculum. Let's talk about the curriculum really quick. So we always want you to start with a web development fundamental class, which is all about HTML, CSS, and JS. It's for beginners. It's a beginner's course. I kind of consider that as a you'll make it, if you're good, or you might not make it because it's not for you. So it's good for everyone. If you're a beginners, it's a beginner's course. So going into that course, you need pretty much no knowledge. You're going to be learning everything there. So if you are advanced and you already know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, there's a test for it. You can test out of that. The next course is Bootstrap. So Bootstrap was created back in, I want to say 2008, 2009 by Twitter. It's also actually known as Twitter Bootstrap. And Bootstrap is one of the, I want to say, one of the biggest driving force, for a really long time. We've been using that as a framework as a CSS, even for JavaScript. So there's a lot of good things with Bootstrap that's available, and we spend that time within the second course learning about Bootstrap. And then also we focus on JavaScript, getting you ready for the React class. In the React class, you're going to learn how to actually work on web development. You're creating all the classes, functions, you're working with components. Biggest driver is componentization within React, and that should lead you into your mobile development with React Native. At that point, you're going to be able to deploy an application to App Store. I believe you do both, Google and iOS. So Google Play and iOS will do both. And then besides that, you also have a web application. So it's 3 applications kind of doing the same exact thing, and you can deploy it. And that leads us into our last class, which will be backend programming. So you're learning Node.js, Express, and MongoDB to complete out your MERN stack. Okay, so as we know, React does more of the UI front-end stuff, so that's why that's part of the front end. And then at the last class, in the back end, we're actually combining everything together. We're even learning more about Postman, how to check your APIs and such. So throughout the React mobile development and the back end with Node.js, we're focusing on APIs, working with APIs a lot. So that's pretty much the structure. Ludo, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so within your journey at Nucamp, I know we talked about 5 courses. Within these 5 courses, you're going to work on a lot of projects. We have about 22 projects. They're all in group setting. What we usually do is we will do a cohort on every, not cohort, a breakout room on Saturdays. So as Ludo mentioned before, 12 students per instructor on Saturday classes. We'll break out the students in 3 groups, roughly 3 to 4 groups. I usually do 3 groups. I think 4 is enough per group. So we'll do like 4 students per group, and they work on their project, and that project is basically using your what you've learned throughout the week, and it focuses on what you're going to be doing in the real world. Okay, so there's going to be an aspect of actually learning. So you will have to Google, you will have to look up the resources that you learned throughout the week. Within the week lectures, there's a lot of resources that's shared with you, because obviously within this time frame, you're not going to learn every single thing that has to do with web development, right? So learning is still continuing, and on Saturday class, you'll learn more. So we total work on 22 projects, and then 3 portfolio projects. So Ludo, can you show us a few projects, please?
Yeah, it'd be great. So you can actually also check them out on the nucamp.co webpage. We so how to come on, there we go. So there we go. So let me bring that over. We also have, if you're on YouTube, we have a playlist on YouTube that has all those projects. But these are very interesting ones. So this one, for example, from Patrick got a owner's certificate because of that project. And what really amazed us was, and I'm going to pause it for now. What really amazed us was it looks like a typical website, but then when it went into the back end of it, it looked very polished, clean. There was a lot of really thought placed into creating the routes. All the code was well documented. There was really a ton of work beneath the surface that really made it special. I like to show another one. Oh, there you go. So let's see. Oh, that one is really great. So we have students who are going to actually focus their project on the mobile app. So who's the name of that student again? Oh, Nasir. So Nasir created a mobile app to find COVID-19 locations in the state of Washington, and was later on actually in contact with the state to see how much that app could actually be distributed broadly. And then I think he got in contact with New Jersey for the same reason. So that was pretty interesting and exciting for him. And then there's other apps that are also quite interesting. Let me see what I can find here. It's not coming. Oh yeah, there it is. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time. I'm looking for one. If you can find it, it's the chess. There we go. So that one really spent a lot of time on building a multiplayer chess game, which is kind of awesome and amazing, using WebSockets on the back end. And so there is a moment in the app when all of that comes to life. Let me show it to you. There we go. So now he has two people connected to the server, and it's going to move. There we go. And you're seeing the pieces moving on each screen. Very impressive work. And so you're going to find a ton of those, a ton of examples, and you're going to be really, as a student, we're going to help you come up with the right app. It's going to be your app, and it's going to be on top of what Gani actually already presented to you. All right, Gani, back to you.
Oh, thanks, Ludo. So we do have on YouTube, right? All the projects that we worked on, or students have worked on. Actually, most of the projects. I don't want to say all of them because we don't really put all the projects. So there's a lot of projects that students work on. You do have Early Bird coming up, which is ending on June 21st in 4 days, to schedule for July 5th cohort. Now, one thing that I should mention, we do recommend that you schedule within your city, within your region. So this way you might see the same exact students in the class if you ever want to go in person. We're still working on in-person classes. I'm not sure if, Lula, do you have any ideas how far are we with the in-person classes? Is that something this year, next year?
Well, it's very tricky. We were hoping for September. It may actually be more January right now. The situation is right now a ton of states, and actually it's not even at the state level, it's at the county level very often that those decisions are made. There is a huge risk for any school like ours to have to shut down if we find one case of COVID in a classroom. And that will wreak havoc, obviously, on our operations. And so that's why you'll see many coding bootcamps out there really hesitating to reopen too early when really everything is not yet 100% under control. Now, of course, I mean, things are improving a lot, but you're also hearing, bad news with the Delta variant or things like that. And so I think we're just on the cusp of being able to do something, but it's still tiny early for us to reopen because of the threat of having to shut down again. And you can imagine what it means for, the staff and everything. So that's where we are. So we were hoping for September. I don't know, maybe it's going to be more like January at this time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, I absolutely appreciate you thinking about students and instructors. It's a really, a big thing. Obviously, we all want to go back into in-person classes, even though it's on Saturday only. But you definitely got to think about students and instructors. So you got June 21st early bird to schedule for July 5th cohort. Now, one thing that I do want to mention, that if you are let's say in California, and that's a PST time zone, but you're an early person, for whatever reason, you can schedule to Eastern time zone, or actually, Eastern time zone, which will be 3 hours before PST time. So you can schedule for different time zones if you like. The only thing you're running with it that you're not going to see those same students in your, in your classes or whatnot, because we have cohorts running in Eastern time, Central time, Pacific time. We have international students that are joining those cohorts as well, Eastern, Central, and Pacific time. So you can move around depending on your own schedule. I currently have 3 students who are international. So folks from Canada, China, some folks who are from Ireland that living in China. So I think it's a really good mix. So yeah, so that just keep that in mind. Hula, can you go to the next slide, please? So Nucamp does offer multiple scholarships, and you can qualify for those scholarships. The first scholarship is for high school graduates. If you are a recent high school graduate, that scholarship is for you. You can definitely learn more or even mention when you're applying for it. And the new you and you, that scholarship is for someone who recently got denied for a student loan. Okay, so that would qualify you for that scholarship. Warrior Rising, that's another scholarship that's for military veterans or active duty members. So if you are one of those, just apply for it. And then Reskill America is another scholarship that's available for anyone who's impacted by COVID-19. I know there's a bunch of folks that got laid off, from jobs or whatnot, so that will still be considered, impacted by COVID-19. So you can definitely apply for that. So if you see there's a gauge between how much money that is left, so we already had students who have used that much money in each pot of the scholarship. So definitely take advantage of those scholarships and join. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay. So I consider this slide to be very important because you could pretty much join any boot camp, but what drives it the most is that employment rate. How many students are actually getting employment after they graduate? Nucamp does a really good job getting you ready for the real world. And that's why our employment rate is quite high. So 80% of graduates are working in tech after 6 months to graduate. And that's based on 598 surveys that were answered. So what we do in Nucamp, we send out a survey to anyone who graduated, and they can fill it out and let us know that either they got a job or they got an offer or whatnot, and that's what drives this 83% up. 75% graduation rate, so that means that anyone who joins our Nucamp's bootcamp, they go through the full course or full 5 courses and graduate, and that's what drives that 75%. I used to call it something new that we just added, which is a career advisement, but it's no longer new. It's been going on for roughly over 6 months now. So career advisement, it's available for everyone that graduates. So either you're graduating from full stack or just front end bootcamp, you have ability to schedule one of the career advisors. And we do a lot of stuff in career advisement. We go through your resume. We will work with you if you're changing careers. So we'll utilize your previous experience, and we'll utilize that to create your new resume for you so you can get a job. Career advisement, it's available for all students that graduate. There is no particular time limit or time frame when you can utilize it. The only thing we ask is that we don't schedule more than once with one career coach a week. That's the only restriction. Otherwise, it is available for everyone that graduates. Nationwide job board, exclusive to alumni. So there is a job board that's available once you graduate. 6 weeks career development program, career preparation, resume and hackathons, LinkedIn premium. So you do get a 1 month premium, and then I believe LinkedIn gives you another 1 month, so you get a total of 2 months of LinkedIn premium. Lifetime access to content and community. To me, that speaks volume, because you do have access to all the Slack channels that you originally get assigned to, and then also you have access to Nucamp's portal. Okay, what does that mean? That, let's say, if Nucamp adds some more content, newer content, because all know the technology changes quickly. What happens in that case, that you will go back and you check to see if there's new content that was added, and you can learn that new content as you see new content added. Okay, so that's available to you. It's available for lifetime, and all the Slack channels where all the instructors, all the students are available to help you with anything. And then we had students that would ask about their job, and they want to know, like, hey, I'm running into this issue with so and so. Can anyone give me some quick guidance? I'm not going to say that's not a good idea, but you can always ask. That's what the community is for. So you have that Nucamp community available to you to help you with things. Luda, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay. Do you want me to talk about that, or you want to take this one?
No, I'll cover that. And thank you for really going very much into the details of a career services program. And you can actually see the result of those career services on our website. We are publishing at this time one graduate success story every week, and so we just started to do that like a month ago, and we have already the 15 or 20 stories, unique stories of people who were really successful in getting into a new career after Nucamp. Almost all of them achieved that after graduating full stack. Some of them did that right after graduating front end, or 6 months after, I would say. But I really encourage you to check that out. It's on nucamp.co/newcareers. If I go there, actually, and I never know, there we go. Let me show you that. So, as I said, and if you sent us or your email already, if you're and since you're here, you may have already given us your email. You're probably receiving those testimonials on your email as well. But the most recent sent yesterday actually is from Taylor. And then we had Sophie, Laurie, Stephanie, Zach. I mean, you can see many of them actually. And as I said, every week we're publishing one new story of a student who was really successful in changing careers. And we are ready for the Q&A. Right before we go in there, I just want to remind everyone about, again, the early bird ends June 21st. And let me tell you what that means. Up to Monday, June 21st, you will pay $376 to register for the next full stack bootcamp that starts on July 5th. After that, so let's say you want to register to the July 5th start date, and you're doing that on Tuesday, June 22nd, a day after, you'll pay $436 per month. So that's kind of a good difference here. So total, you will be saving about $300 by registering before Monday, June 21st versus after Monday, June 21st. And it's, of course, to really attend the July 5th bootcamp. So just quick reminder of that. So now that we are starting the Q&A, let's do this. It's getting warmer here. Ooh, it feels good. So let me, and Gani, you were telling me that you couldn't scroll the chat. Can you scroll the chat now, or is it still stuck in the first few?
Yeah, no. I'm going to just do zoom out, and I can see some chat on YouTube as well.
Okay. All right.
Asking a lot of questions.
Yes, and I saw one that I thought we will start with. There we go. So this question from Karim: if you register for the pilot backend class in August, and so you're probably mentioning the backend with Python class that we have in August, will you also be in the September class? So this one is a little bit tangled. If you register to the August bootcamp, you are registering for the full bootcamp, so the full 16 weeks long bootcamp. So that's about, I'll say, 3 months and some. So well, actually 4 months in some, 3 to 4 months. You will be starting in August with the first course, and then you will go in October with the next course, and then you'll end in about November with the last course. So you will be in the class in September, but you will not be starting again in September. You will just continue on your journey. The Python bootcamp, like every other bootcamp, will start every 5 weeks. So really, what's happening here is the first cohort, the very first start date in August, is going to be our first. So we're actually providing a discount. We are limiting the number of students. Right now, we have a max at 150 students that are going to be across the US in that cohort. And so you can register to that one. There's a coupon code, and we're making it easier for you to actually register. But you should know that's going to be the very first one. So there may be a few bugs, which is also why we offer a discount for that one. But then if you register to the September cohort, well, it's not going to be, the first one anymore. So you're going to pay the full price, but most of the bugs will have been resolved, I'm sure. And then 5 weeks after that, and 5 weeks after that. So I hope that makes sense.
Okay, wonderful. I see a few more questions in regards to the bootcamp, or I guess the backend bootcamp.
Do you have the timestamp by any chance, or does it show it?
It's actually right after that one. Lucy said it's the best offering for together. Can you pay the tuition in full, skipping the payments?
So you could. It's not something that we provide on our website. So what you will do is you will register. So you make the first deposit, the first registration payment of, let's say, $350 or whatever the amount is, and then you will email student admin at nucamp.co. Let me see if I have. Sometimes I have. No, I don't here. Yeah. So student admin at nucamp.co, and ask them to just charge the card that you've placed for the full amount, and they'll do that for you. So I saw Lucy had a bunch of questions. So let me see if I can address them. And I think most of the questions, Lucy, were regarding the Saturday workshop. That's what I saw on the chat. And I think your concern is that you will have to attend all Saturday workshops. So there's a few things here. The Saturday workshops are mandatory, but we don't necessarily enforce that, because ultimately what allows you to progress and what really we are looking at are you publishing the assignments and having graded assignments. So you could actually kind of get away with not attending the Saturday workshops. But here's the thing, we really don't recommend that at all, because we find that the Saturday workshop is really a key element of your experience. That's very much when you're going to be live with your instructor, with other coding students in your classroom, and that's where a lot of learning and application happens. You could do the assignment on your own, but I will say if you're projecting yourself in really doing the Saturday workshop on your own as well, you're back into kind of a self-paced, I'm on my own type of dynamic. And I will say you're going to miss a lot of the value that we have to offer. And so I have a lot of empathy with you. You're working full-time, you have 3 kids. It may be really challenging for you to attend every Saturday workshop. But if you really want to stay focused, give yourself all the best chances to be successful with the bootcamp, I would really strongly encourage you to make plans around being busy at the workshop and not being potentially very available for your kids every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the time of your bootcamp. We have weeks break, so there's every 4 to 5 weeks you have a week break. But if that's something you can do, and I know sometimes it's not easy, but if that's something you can really commit to, you will really be even more appreciative of what we have to offer versus having to not experience that and be on your own pretty much.
Yeah, Ludo, with that, I have had multiple students who had their kids, around, or, just watching TV or whatnot. As long as you can pay attention to what's being taught, I would still suggest attending.
That's right.
Yeah.
There is that one question. Actually, it's a point in response to Kareem. I don't think you can sign up for multiple cohorts. So it's true, you cannot really enroll in both full stack and the backend Python bootcamp at the same time, for example, because you will not be able to attend the workshops on Saturdays at the same time. So, I mean, so that's something you cannot do. You have to take those bootcamps in sequence if you wanted to. One question here. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of folks want to know the price for the Python backend course.
So the price for the backend Python course is $1,480. It's actually the same price as the front end bootcamp. So 1,480, and you pay monthly for about $370 a month. And so not a month, but it's 4 installments pretty much. I mean, so a registration fee and then 4. Yeah.
So it's 14 something for the full course, one-time payment. But if you want to pay multiple times, then you can pay 300 something for 3 payments.
Yeah, and it will be the same price. And typically, actually, you'll have to email us if you want to do a one-time payment. By default, actually, we don't offer a one-time payment. By default, you're going to pay for the registration the day you register, and then you're going to pay starting when the bootcamp starts.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, let me check.
Is there assessment that they can take to test out of the first course in the backend Python? There's a lot of questions with backend Python course.
Yeah. So let me see. I don't see that question, but let me answer it. So the requirement to attend the backend with Python course is very minimal because it's very beginners friendly. So the requirement is really to be what we call computer literate, meaning you have to be used to using a computer. You need to know how to, create folders, zip files together, move files around, of course, navigating the web. But you really have to be a little bit savvy in just using a computer. You do not need to know to code just yet. You do not need to know, math. You don't need to be an expert in math or anything like that.
There's a question from Eric. Is the Monday through Friday instruction live or video recording?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me see. There we go. I find it. So the instructions on Sunday through Friday is our video recordings. There's no live instruction unless your instructor offers office hours. And the reason for that is I've experimented in all those different ways of teaching during the week. And whenever you're scheduling something during the week, you run the risk of, having only half your class being able to attend because their schedule may not be compatible. Exactly the same situation we're seeing with Saturdays. And so we don't want that. We don't want students during the week to feel like they've missed something important because their job prevented them from attending a live lecture or anything like that. And so during the week, it's really at your own pace, video recordings, written instructions, etc. Only on Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. is it a live workshop.
So a few questions after that. There's one message from Josh. I'm concerned with the potential lack of peer coding. So
yeah, you want to answer that one? You talked about, how you're breaking out students on Saturdays. I think that would be a good way to address it.
Yeah. So when it comes to peer coding, usually you would work in team when you're working in real world. Usually everyone will be working on their own task and then sharing the code or talking about how they did better or what's the best way to do something. Those are the things that make peer coding, beneficial. So I think there's plenty of it on Saturday that we go through. That's why, as Ludo mentioned, I think the Saturday class is kind of important. It's mandatory. We love you to join it. I think you get more out of the bootcamp overall if you join, all 4 or 5 Saturday workshops. Okay, so
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, peer coding happens mostly on Saturdays, and then students on their own come together with instructions from us to work on their portfolio project as well. So you have group projects that are created quite often. There is that one question from Lil. Does anyone know how many projects built with the Fundamentals Bootcamp? A total of 4. That's the number. Total of 4 projects that you're going to build from beginning to end with the Fundamentals Bootcamp.
Student from Arizona will be in PST time or MST time because we do not have DST. So half the year we are in the same time as PST, and the other half we are at the same time as MST. We don't recognize Arizona. I'm just kidding.
No, I think it's a great point. Actually, don't know. We'll have to look. Either way, you'll know. You'll know, and it's going to be an hour difference. So you'll know when you sign up which time zone exactly we're talking about. I don't know. I'll have to look.
Okay.
I think so. Arizona is typically central. No, or is it mountain? No, it's central, right?
Their
It's,
PST.
yeah, it's their own time zone. I think, right? That's right. Yeah.
They don't have daylight savings.
Yeah.
I think that's the only difference.
So you have to email us and or just register and realize which exact time it is. Okay, what does you see?
Every week. So it's a question from Lucy right after what I just read from James. You can move every week, or do you have to stay in the same workshop for the whole course? Yep, same workshop for the whole course. Well, same class. So everyone is in a particular. Yep. Yeah. So you have one instructor, 12 students. You're part of the same class. You're going to work with the same students for at least 5 weeks for the period of that class.
Yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, there's a few people are answering here as well. You're grouping a class of 12 students, and we want you to continue to experience a full bootcamp with that class of 12 students. Some students drop out or just reschedule, and so we are kind of remixing and matching sometimes. But overall, we want you to stay with the same students. There's in learning, there's a huge concept of what we call social learning, and that's why it's so different from a $10 course on Udemy, is because you start to create connections with your classmates. You start to work together. You start to appreciate one another. A lot of students are saying we became friends. And this is really the structure and the support that you really need to stay committed. And so without that, you'll just, you may never finish. So we want you to stay with your friends and your classmates.
Yep. So, again, there's a lot of questions from Lucy. But before I get to that, Ray asked, so the career advisors support, is that available for each boot camp? So actually would say, front end.
It's front end, full stack, and it's going to be available after Python as well. It is not available after the 4 weeks introduction web development fundamentals. That 4 weeks bootcamp is really meant as an introduction. It does not prepare you to get a job. So yeah, but the career services will be available after front end, full stack, or Python.
Okay. Lucy asked, she's confused about different schedules. So again, if you're in, I'm not sure where you are, Lucy, but if you are in PST time zone, you could schedule for EST time zone. If you're in EST time zone, you can schedule for PST time zone classes. So this way, actually, you get 3 hours more, 3 hours less. Or if you schedule for CST time zone, then you're getting 2 hours. So that's the only thing we're talking about, to help. But there's only one a workshop as of now, only on Saturdays. Good.
Yeah. Question from Alex: can you skip the 5-week intro course with the backend program? So I think you mean the 4 weeks, because it's only 4 weeks. And the answer will be yes. The backend program does not require you to be versed in HTML, CSS, or JavaScript. So you can skip that. Dim is saying that our son starting on the 28th. Yes, we're very excited for him as well. I hope he's over 18 because we only allow adult learners. So just make sure. I'm guessing he is over 18. So, and I'm seeing another question here. MacBook Air M1 be a good laptop? Have you had experience? I know we've actually had to deal with that with many students, and I think many of our students currently are using the M1. I don't know the feedback on that one. Do you know, Gani, if students are happy with the M1 or not?
I think it's okay for a bit until you get into especially backend.
Yeah.
MongoDB is a bit, but I would definitely get a more stable computer, even if it's a desktop. Uh, I use I think my MacBook is probably about 8 years old. But MacBook works fine. You don't have to specifically buy a brand new one.
Yeah. We had it for 4 minutes left, but I think, yeah, we have a ton actually. Maybe we're moving too slow. Let's see. Workshop on Saturdays, will that be a huge issue for him? It will be an issue. How huge is for you to decide or your friend to decide? It will be an issue. He will be missing something important. All right, let me scroll through it quickly.
I see a question about have some of your students applied for jobs while they were still doing the boot camp. So after front end, you have the ability to apply for jobs while you're still going for full stack. So yeah, absolutely. After front end, you can start working with a career coach. I have a lot of students who did that. They want to get ready until for when they're done with the full stack, and most likely either have a job or be ready to apply, be ready to start applying for jobs.
Mark is asking about, hey, he's a 50-year-old nurse, no developer experience, seeking a career change. Please check out Laurie Hartfeld's story on our website. I think that's going to be the answer you were looking for. Let me pull it. It's New Careers, Laurie Hartfeld. Check out, read her story, and you'll have your answer right there.
Yeah.
Let me so there's a ton of questions on the backend program. We have a live stream, 1 hour long live stream on backend specifically. So go to our YouTube channel, check out that live stream. Otherwise, just go on the website and you'll find a lot of information. And our backend is very much the same as our front end or full stack in terms of, hours requirements, workshop requirements, and things like that.
So Stephanie asked about the Adobe XD, Figma, or InVision. So
the answer is no. Yeah. We don't teach Figma. Yeah. It's not a UX UI design workshop. All right. Let's go.
How many group projects? About 22.
Yeah. Actually, I think this one is 16. I think we're just refining that. It's going to be 16 projects for the backend course, I think. Yeah.
My bad. I thought it was just overall.
No, that's okay. Well, it's actually in flux. We're still kind of finalizing that. Okay. Lucy is saying, thank you. You're welcome, Lucy. I hope we're seeing you soon. Mark has asked a question twice. We've answered you.
Yep. Are the courses available to people in Canada? Absolutely. It's
yes.
International. As I mentioned, I have students internationally. Actually, this is my third class I'm teaching where I have students international.
All right. Hey, question for you, Gani. What are the instructors like? Well, like Gani.
Without ego.
Do they teach without ego? I hope they do. So let me tell you a little bit maybe about our instructors. And I had a slide on that, but the average rating for our instructor is 4.6 out of 5, which is really, really good. And we are very proud of that and thrilled to have such great instructors. Um, and they, as I mentioned, they are full-time employed in the industry. They're teaching with us on the side because they're passionate. So that tells you a lot about their state of mind and why they're doing it. They're not doing it for the money. Gani will tell you, we're not the ones who pay the best. But we are one of the, Nucamp is one of the organization who cares the most, and student and instructor care as well.
Yeah. So I guess to answer Alexander's question, don't forget we were all there, so we know what is it like to learn from scratch, or having somewhat knowledge and learning something new. So again, the React wasn't around so long ago. So every instructor, or most of the instructors, learned something else. I personally started with Cool Fusion. That was back in, a while ago. I'm not going to tell you exactly how long ago. So we all learned something. So I still also learned React as well. So I was there with you guys eventually.
A question here: are there any graduates that did not find a job? Of course, absolutely. I mean, attending a coding bootcamp is never a guarantee that you're going to be a successful developer. And I will say, be very careful of anyone who's telling you the opposite. Be very careful and worried when a coding bootcamp announces 95%, 99%. It doesn't happen. It's not possible. You have people who are going to be successful and other people are going to be less successful. And that's the fact of life. Now we are doing everything we can to offer a great education at a very affordable price with a lot of heart. And we are supporting you along the way to get a job. But not everyone is going to make it. It's just a reality.
Yep, absolutely. And, I had students who are not good public speakers. And, when they're looking for a job, you need to be able to speak about your project. So we work on that. I'll be asking questions and work on those questions. So as you go in an interview, you can actually, help yourself get a job, basically. So we'll work on that together.
We're over time already. Damn.
And there's a lot more
Oh my God, yes. Oh, we're so okay. Well, folks, very sorry, but we're out of time. So ask the questions on our chat, live chat on nucamp.co. Send us email on info@nucamp.co. I hope to see you register to the full stack bootcamp that starts in a little bit. Remember, the early bird is Monday. Really appreciate the time. We're doing this, as I said, every 5 weeks. So maybe next time, join again and ask your question. But I'm sure we'll get it answered in no time through our chat or email. And Gani, always a pleasure having you with me. Thank you so much. And take care, everyone. See you on